Welcome to another week of Connect with Jonathan Mark. Guys, we have an amazing episode today. We're going to be talking about kids on set, pretty much everything, and you won't want to miss this reading coming up. You guys may know her from the show The Rookie, and you definitely know the movie Step Up. It is Jenna Dewan. Let's welcome her. Well, what's going on, Jenna? How's everything been?
Jonathan, good, crazy, great. You know, the beautiful circus that I'm eternally grateful for over here. But it's like never chill. Let's put it that way.
Well, I wanted to congratulate you. Obviously, I texted you and stuff, but I want to congratulate you on your new baby. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, she's so good. That's why I was running 10 minutes late. So I was trying to finish feeding her and then, you know, look somewhat presentable as I came on for you. She's amazing. She's like the best baby. I'm so lucky. Like so lucky.
That's so awesome. Like I remember we were talking and you're like, surprise, I'm pregnant. I was like, oh my God.
And it really was like that surprise.
Yeah. I just remember, I'm like, wow. I'm like, how did I even pick that up? I'm like, that's good.
I know, that's true. I've always wanted to ask you. You didn't pick it up, huh?
No, I did. So what happened was we were doing stuff when I think your mom was for the reading.
Yep.
And I didn't want to be the person to, because I've done that before. So I've done it before where I would go somewhere and then I'd be like, oh, like they're, you know, showing me a brand new energy's coming. And the husband would be like, what is he talking about? Uh-huh. And like the mom would just, or like the wife or whoever would be like very quiet.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't say anything. So I would be like, okay, maybe I'm seeing something wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, and then I get an email from the wife being like, that was supposed to be like an intimate moment between my husband and I. And she's like, you kind of just like said it. And she's like, you know, like, I'm not mad at you. Cause she's like, we didn't know what to expect with like a reading, just like in like general, but she was like, that was like my moment to tell him. So since then I've never said it to anyone because I'm too afraid to, based on that experience.
Yeah. That's so sweet of you. This is why I just adore you. You're like the sweetest guy. Like I can't imagine getting these messages and then editing as I'm getting the messages. Like you're going, I see that you're holding a baby, but I'm not going to tell her that because that would.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing so much.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And, you know, just so people know, like we've met like a year ago or so. And, you know, when we did the reading and I saw that, you know, like I said, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I just don't want to be that guy. Like,
oh, so nice of you. It's really sweet. And I do see how that would feel that way. Like, at some point you ruin that or you have that moment with someone else and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm trying to remember when you were reading for my mom, which by the way was so amazing.
Thank you.
I keep thinking about whether I must have been pregnant then. I can't remember it. Yes, I think I was. So I think you're right. We just didn't know yet. It was really, really early on. So that's, oh, you're so good, Jonathan.
No, I just really was just based on those experiences and like other things too. I've like learned to like maybe not say certain things to people just like in readings, and especially when it's like two people on, like a mother-daughter, a husband-wife or whoever, because, you know, there's been other instances too where I've said things and let me tell you, it did not end well. And yeah, so like I've been so limited with everything and I just been trying to really protect people too. Like that's my new thing, is like protecting people's feelings and stuff just based on what they would want to hear, what they would want to share, and just things like that. So I've been really trying to protect everyone when I do readings now.
Oh, wow. That's actually incredible. And you are able to hear the message. And just sometimes are the message that you're getting, is it so loud that you are like, okay, I can't ignore, I have to tell this person this, or you frame it in a way that you think is a little nicer, easier to hear?
I think it's a mixture depending on what it is. I've learned with like really intimate, whether it's like pregnancies or just like things that have happened in the past that are just very intimate and personal. I've kind of learned to, the way you say it is like I feel like will dictate how they will respond to something. If you just say something down someone's throat in any capacity, I feel like people are very like, that's not what I like. Don't shove something down my, like, don't like ram it down my throat. Don't, yeah. And like, don't be compassionate about it. And you always get signs too, because you and I always go back and forth with like the ladybugs and stuff, right?
Ladybugs, Jonathan. Wait, I have to tell you the funniest. I thought of you yesterday because when we did our reading and you were like, that's so weird. And then you started getting them all the time. I get them all the time. And I know this sounds, well, probably not crazy to anyone listening to this, but the ladybugs, they happen in the most random ways. I feel like now the signs are trying to outsign themselves with me. So yesterday, I swear to you, I made a salad and it says triple washed, right? On the greens. You're like, okay, you just take it out, you make a salad. I went down to take a bite and there was a ladybug in the salad. Like it had been in the greens. I made the salad. I had to take a bite. I almost ate it. I was like, oh my God. And then I started busting out laughing because I was like, that is officially the most creative way to have given me a sign. But I said, oh, and how cute. I'm talking to Jonathan tomorrow. So it's
yeah. Yeah, the ladybugs are just such a big thing. Like I now see them all the time. Like when I'm going into my house, there'll be one like on the door or something, like where you have to open the door to obviously go into the house, like the screen door. And I'm like, you can't like miss that. Like it's like right in front of your face. It's like absolutely like insane.
What do they mean for you? Do they just mean like a sign from spirit, or because like for me it was always like a specific person, like a person that crossed like a specific sign? But do you just have it as like, oh cute, like a good little sign from spirit, or does it mean anything like specific?
So to me, I what I've been attesting to, like when it comes, it's like when I see a ladybug, it's like good things happening. I think like positive things. And I know people can like put so many different signs to that, but typically when I see them is like when I will have something going on or like a meeting coming up or things like that. So it's one of those where I'm like, I try not to read it. Yeah, like I try not to read into it so much at times because I'm like, oh my God, like what's going to happen now with like something? But it's hard not to, I feel like, when it's like right in front.
We have the same sign.
It's so crazy. But I wanted to, jump in and just ask, like, how has it been working and being a mother, like to a newborn? I know you're a mother already, but having a crazy household, how has it been?
It's actually been good. I will say I'm really grateful and I'm really lucky because the type of work I do, I bring her to work with me. So she's on set with me. I'm still feeding her. So it's a little insane in the sense that I go and I film and I do a scene and I run back and I feed her, or I'm in hair makeup and I've got baby on the boob and I'm feeding her, in the makeup trailer. And it's as if like there's no real time off. Like that's the feeling it is you're constantly thinking, okay, like, so then Callum is over here and my older daughter's over here and she's on set. So you just it's a big scheduling. It's like a calendar at all times in my head. That's what it feels like. And you start weighing out, you're like, okay, no, I need to go take Callum or I need to go over here. You start like trying to like balance it as much as possible. So 3 is definitely insane in that way. But as far as like, is it being harder? No, it's just a little bit more of a circus, it's a little bit more planning and managing. But this has been, ironically, with all the things going on, still she's a peaceful baby. The postpartum period was all the colors, as it always is, but it ultimately ended up being, I felt very supported. I had great people at my family in town. It ended up being nice. And I felt, and it's funny, we always talk about intuition together, but I have felt this soul for a while. I just thought, well, maybe if it's meant to be, blah, blah, blah. But I had felt it. So I feel like it now feels complete in a sense. So I've just been able to feel a little bit almost calmer, interestingly.
That's like the best answer like ever because my like family is like, everyone's starting to have kids now and I see the constant like chaos that is like ensuing everyone's lives, and it's like nonstop too. Like I always make a joke to like, my parents and, my fiance and stuff, and I always be like, we get to go home. Like, like like we get to play with them, and then like, and it's a lot because one's 4, or no, one's 5, and then it goes all the way down to like 1, and they're like non-stop, like running around, like being rough, and like, because there's 2 boys and a girl, and the boys are just like true boys, like they just want to be like thrown and like, everything. So
Yeah. Oh, and it's full on. I think the difference is like the first kid you have is the major shocking life change. Like I remember wait a minute. I went from just waking up and being, what am I going to do today? What I used to go like, should I go on a hike with my friend? Like, you'd have these like thoughts that were just so funny to me now that I have kids. And I'm like, what are we going to eat for lunch today? It was just like this casual day. Once you take that leap when you've got your first child, then you've already jumped off. You're already swimming. You're already there. It's like, what's 1 or 2 more? It's just crazier. It's like the first one's the big shock, and then you're like, oh, right. But I never have my own time anymore.
No, that's literally what my cousin said. She was like, the first one was like a whoa, like, everything, we, need all the help. And then the second one is still like a little bit of a shock, but it's like they knew what they were doing with everything. It's so funny. It's just so funny. And, with that, like my cousin and just like my family and stuff, like they all try to do like very like stuff for their kids, like passion stuff for their kids or whatever. Do you have any like passion projects coming up like with them or for them or just in general?
Well, yes. So my older daughter, Evie, is really into Irish dance. And so we go to these things called feshes, which are Irish dance competitions, and it's wild. And she is obsessed. That's like her big passion. However, both of her feet are injured at the moment, most likely because of Irish dance. So note to any mothers and fathers out there listening, if your kids are in Irish dance, hit me with all your suggestions, because I've danced 40 plus years of my life, obviously, and I never had injuries like this, but it's how hard they're hitting their feet. So she's on a break at the moment. So she's a little bit bummed about that, but we're about to kind of gear up again and get ready for her big regional competition. And then Callum is 4, but he's physical into everything. He's like basketball. He is a total boy in that sense of he just wants to like be rough and play, and anything with sports, balls, all of that is amazing. However, he did just have a Taylor Swift concert like performance. He basically was in a camp. It was one of those things where he's out of school. So we're going, a Taylor Swift camp. That sounds great. Like, yeah, of course, go sing, shake it off and dance, and we'll come and watch the performance. But we showed up to this performance, and it was the cutest thing we've ever seen. And he was fully following and seemingly into the dance genes as well. So that's with you. And Rhiannon, we have no idea. She's at this point, she's only 2 months. So her passion is to be cuddled and have lots of milk and smile. Those are where we're at.
Those are good passions. Did your daughter, your oldest daughter, start dancing the same age you did?
She actually got into it later. She right around 8 years old. So I got into it more around 5. So she was about 8. And fully of her own want. Like she had watched some Riverdance videos, and we watched a Riverdance animated movie. And she loved, it sounds wild, but she loved like Irish legend. So much I was like, she must have had past lives in Ireland. Like it was like, she just loved everything about it. And finally she said, I want to learn this dance. And I said, okay. So we put her in a class, and I didn't think she had, up until that point, she had shown no signs of rhythm, right? This was not a kid that I was like, oh, I thought she's not going to dance. And then she fully shocked me and loves it and is still in it and is amazing. She's so good and she loves it.
That's awesome. And is she trying to go down the same, maybe not the same exact path as you, but like a similar path as far as like, taking dance like very seriously and, turning it into something that could be something even bigger than she probably thinks that it could be?
Good question. I don't know. She is really into it, but she's also really into anime and drawing. And she's expressed to me that when she, she's 11, so what do we know? But when she is older and, out of high school, she wants to go live in Tokyo and have and do her drawing and her animation. And so like, I don't know if dance is her end all be all like it was for me, but I will say she's like super, super into it for now and wants to. And just the whole competitive dancing thing, it was so how I grew up that there are definite moments where I'm at a competition. And I go, I cannot believe I'm back in this life. Like I'm I'm in dance competitions again. Like it's so crazy how that it finds you. I guess it's in the blood,
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, it must be like a surreal moment when you're like doing the competitions, like when you're younger, going to all that, like the competitive dance tournaments and stuff, and then being older and watching your daughter do it must be such a surreal moment. Like I can't imagine, like, if I have a child and it decides to play lacrosse and I'm going to like a lacrosse tournament, I'm gonna be sitting there being like, what is going on right now? Like
exactly right. It would feel like that, Jonathan. And it's bizarre when you're on the other side of it. Like being a dance mom is so much more stressful than being the dancer competing because I go through every emotion. I'm sweating. I'm like so nervous. But then, you forget, Jenna, you did this and you know what it's like to compete. But when you're watching it as a mother, it is like, I'm like, I sit here, I have a video of me just watching and praying and being like, okay, phew, one step down, phew, second step down. It's like, you've tried to be chill, but you're so not chill.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Like, I feel like on the sidelines, I'm going to be like, oh my God, like, you got to do this. Like, I'm going to be there just like freaking out, just be like, and I feel like I can't do that because like everyone is different and maybe my kid won't even play lacrosse or do the stuff that I do. And I don't want to push them to do anything that they don't want to like do.
Well, you don't even have to. You don't even have to. I never pushed her. I actually, to the opposite, was like, whatever you, and I still feel this way, whatever you want to do, however long you want to do it, I'm there for as long as you love it. I had no idea she would get into dance. Like, no idea.
I feel like that's like the best.
It's just so crazy that it happens that way,
Do you bring her onto set also? Like, do you bring all your kids on a set? Like, I know you were talking about your newborn, so I didn't know if you brought everyone else.
Well, Effie was, when she was a newborn, so she grew up on sets. She was on I did this TV show called Witches of East End right when she was born. And so she was on the set for those seasons. She grew up in hair and makeup trailers. She grew up, on different sets all over, craft service, everywhere. Like that used to be the joke. She'd show up and be like, she'd be on this huge set. She'd be like, where's craft service? She just wanted the snacks. And we just take her to the snack table and that's all she really cared about. But so she's gone to many, many different sets. Callum Funny was born during COVID quarantine. So he hasn't been to any set. And I was just laughing about this with Steve, where I said, poor Callum's he's like, it's such a middle child right now where, he's like, Rhiannon gets to go to set and go on these fun adventures. Evie did, but he just, sake of how he's born and now he's in school. So he doesn't come along to sets. However, I'm going to change that because he has to know that I play a firefighter. Like that has to happen because I will get the most amount of mom points. So I'm definitely going to be bringing him to set at some point soon.
For your show that you're on, The Rookie. Yeah, I want everyone to know that because it's such a good show. And we spoke to your co-host, Eric, or your co-star, I guess, not even a host. And I was like telling him, which I definitely want to tell you too, is, a bunch of the first responders that I know I'm really close with and, everything, it does such a good job depicting like life in it and life outside of it. Because I was telling him that. And I was telling him that you guys do such a good job about portraying, the struggles that you face like within the departments and then outside of the departments, like personal life things. And it just does such a great job. So yeah, you should get extra credit points for that because like from your son and everyone.
That's the best compliment you could ever be given. And I've had it happen a few times where a first responder will say, I love your show, or I think you guys are amazing. You're doing a good job. It's like, thank you. That's out of all the compliments, it's the best compliment because it just means we are equal parts entertainment and equal parts doing justice to the incredible work that they do on a daily basis. So Yeah, it feels nice. That's really cool. And it's just nice to be a part of a show that people also find a bit of a guilty pleasure. Like, that's nice. You know, I have a lot of people that come up to me and go, I love The Rookie. It's my favorite guilty pleasure to watch. You know, my family watches it and we all watch it together. Like, I love that. It's fun.
What's your guilty pleasure of a show? What's your favorite like guilty pleasure?
Right now, it's really tough. Like, I swear to you, I'm like watching zero things because I get these kids to sleep. And then if I'm like in the bed and I'm like, I gotta wake up to pump, I don't even know. The idea of sitting down to watch an hour show right now is so funny. But when I do get that time, my guilty like reality show sort of thing was, I used to love Love Is Blind was the first season I watched that. Like, that was when I was breastfeeding Callum and we were hooked to that show. Kardashians has always been like a fun guilty pleasure for me. Those girls are so nice. Just side note, they're like the nicest girls. But I never had sisters growing up, so I feel like I watched that show. I'm like, what's it like to fight with sisters and to just like love your sisters, all that stuff. So that's a guilty pleasure. And outside of that, I love 1 hour sort of romantic dramas or any kind of drama like that, or I like watch comedies. I watch everything. It's just, when do I have time?
Well, I was literally about to say, how do you prioritize like your time just so you can take a breath and just, just kind of like get back to like, yourself when you're going on all cylinders?
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know if I think it's ever really possible to have everything balanced totally. And I think that recognition sort of chilled me out a lot, because somebody who it'll keep me up at night thinking that one of my kids is not getting attention that they deserve, or it's this sort of thing. But when you look at it as an overall picture and sort of like a bank account, where if you take out money, you deposit money back in, and you just try and do that as much as possible, but know that you're never going to do it perfectly. So I try, and in my head, it's like I weigh them all out: work, my relationship, my kids, my production company, my working out, things that like, and you just can't exist with all the burners on at one time, but you can have two on and then turn them off for a second and then go to the other two. And so you just sort of have to try not to do the most and do all things, and try and give it all the attention, just maybe not all at one time. So right now, for example, like I have not been able to work out. Like that is just something that has not happened. And I really miss it. And it's a part of like how I'm going to start feeling even better post baby. But I give myself a break and say, okay, right now your burners are on with work, on with the other kids, on with your life and your partner. And that's just where you're at right now. You'll get there, So I think it's a little bit finding grace for yourself and good scheduling and prioritizing different things at different times.
Yeah, it's difficult because you don't want to like at times focus too much on one thing, then neglect the other. Like I think like a fine balance, like you were saying, is like the best thing. So you're not like burning like a wick on one end and then the other one is just like completely filled to the top or just not even burnt yet. Like, so I think balance is a good thing. And speaking about your production company, do you have any projects that are coming up or anything, that's like?
We do, Everhurt is, I started it, and when I started my production company, someone gave me the great advice, such as you're in this because of your passion and your long vision with it. So development and production companies take years to really develop and come to fruition, which was great advice because it is like that. There's a lot of different incredible projects we have going. And then every day, one kind of takes a step forward, one takes a step back, then the next day, a different one takes 2 steps forward. So it's just about what are your overall intentions with it and trying to keep, chugging forward and like making sure it's happening. And we have a lot of great things. We have 2 projects with Village Roadshow, 2 different films. One of them's a musical that we're really excited about based on a book, a couple different TV shows. Jonathan, you and I have been in talks about stuff. There's a lot of different things going on and happening, and it's been really fun to develop. And just a great part of my brain to exercise. And I love creating things. And hopefully the dream is to have projects out there that people love and that bring them joy and peace. Like, just like how I know a lot of people say to me with the Rookie, it's like, well, that's the dream right there, is to have something that you are a part of and making that make people stop their day for a half a second to say, I just want you to know that show brings me joy this week. Or that thing you made makes me really happy. Or I watch it with my kids, or it made me feel something. I'm like, well, that's what we do this for.
No, and I think that's like the best thing, like going into a project or just like anything in general. Like, it's just kind of what you just said, is when someone comes up to you and they're like, you're so, blessed to like, have a show that like people love and consistently love. Like, it's not like a 1 or 2 season thing, which, everyone knows shows that goes on for a season or 2. Yours is going on for 7. Like, and it's a great show and people love it. And to be able to do that and to like have people, and I'm sure people message you all the time saying this, is, that's their escape, like when they're like stressed, like about life and stressed about, things, they could like escape for an hour. They can escape for 2 hours, how many episodes they want to binge, depending on like, their schedule and stuff. But I just think that's like the coolest thing, like for people to come up to you and be like, your character really did this for me and your show really did this for me. I think it's very cool, which, is about the passion stuff and like going into your own project that you're passionate about and you're able to like change people's lives. I think that's very cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
No, of course.
God love. I feel very blessed in that way.
Yeah. And like for people that don't know, like we're, in talks of doing something very cool. Like I even am very excited about it. It's a really cool thing.
I am too. Like I said, it's about finding things that, it's also in life, finding things that light you up. Someone said, it's so true. It's like follow the sparks, right? Like anytime something sparks to you and you go a little, follow it, because that's your essence. That's your soul, so to speak, saying, hey, this is on path, or this could, feel good to do this. And like at the end of the day, that's what we're all, I think, here in this earth for. So it brought me so much joy when I thought of it. And, I'm your biggest fan. I think you're just who you are is really, and you're just a good person. And also your gift is really special, and just your story, all of it. So maybe, hopefully we'll bring this to the world soon.
Fingers crossed. And like I was telling people, and it's interesting you bring up like the spark that, drives people to do something that's so important to them, because for a long time, and I'm sure people's heard me like talk about this before, but like with working on cases, I never thought like that would be an interest to anyone. If I'm being honest, like I thought like it was always going to be like behind the scenes. It was always going to be like, not really spoken about, because like you're dealing with such like intensity of like life and like cases and like the worst case scenario of like what can happen to someone typically. So I never thought in a million years, like I talk about this all the time now with like my family, like not too much on here, but who would even care that like I was doing that, right? Like who would even care? And like who cared about my background? Like who cared about like stuff I didn't know?
Right.
That there was such a huge audience about that, or just like a huge interest really. So now like people like talk to me strictly about like that stuff. Like I don't really get spoken about anything else now. It's always about updates on things like what crimes am I working on, like what cases, like all that stuff. And I always sit back, I'm just like, what the heck? And that was my spark was always helping people and first responders and just everything. So, and I wish I followed it sooner and like spoke about it sooner, because I didn't even know people cared. So I was just like, I'm just gonna do my thing and see what happens. So yeah,
it's part of your purpose, is what I say. Like you've helped so many people by doing that. So of course, and it is specific and unique. I don't think it's one of those things where I feel like there's a lot of intuitive people, but the way in which you're able to like tune into that and to help in that world seems specifically unique and like special in that way.
I think in the beginning, people were not 100% into like a medium working with like law enforcement, like on both ends, like the public and even law enforcement, like just on both ends. Now it's very different. like people don't even know like how different it is now with like the amount of people that will reach out, whether it's to me or other mediums or whoever, but even law enforcement now. Like people don't even get that. And like I'm very fortunate where I can share some of that stuff with people and like have like DAs or people just like really talk about it.
Do they openly talk about it, or is it sort of this thing where like within each in the office, but also within the public and stuff, will they speak about coming to you or calling you?
Yeah. So I've had now retired like FBI come out say that they like worked with me. Retired like DAs. Like I've have like, you know, current DA like people that are in like the racketeering division or even like the unsolved division will like say that they used me. So like they're becoming more vocal and I think it's just based on like now public perception of doing that is not like as negative. But I always try to tell people and I probably repeated this before, but it's always I'm the last call, not the first. So
Yes.
if people like I
Yes.
don't think people like, you know, I think people think like, oh, something happened, let's call, blah 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 blah. It's like no, like I'm like the last call, but
Right, right, exactly. You're like they're like, we want to use you. However, we're gonna do a million other things first.
exactly. And
But it's changing, and the fact that you've seen that shift is pretty cool. I mean, I would imagine that is probably something that they're opening up to more because it probably, like you said, your track record, you've been able to help.
yeah, and you know, and I'm thankful because a lot of the families will come forward also too. So it's like you have like on like both ends, and you know, like Gabby Petito's mom, just
I remember seeing that, Jonathan.
she
Like,
just texted me today,
wow.
like yeah, because Gabby's passing is today.
Oh, it's the anniversary today. Oh,
Yeah, so she like texted me, and she's just like, oh my God, like you know, remember this like for blah 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 like when we were doing all this and you know it's surreal because you form a bond with these families and you know that it's like like I will do anything for her if she called me. It's just like one of those where like if any family I worked with in law enforcement, and I'm sure you too, like when you build these bonds you just want to help people like kind of right away. So people go and they don't even speak about when they're sad, depressed or whatever, and then they use your show and things you've done in the past as like an escape to really like kind of build momentum mentally for them to like not do these things that maybe they
yeah.
were not happy with in life. So
I have received some messages that really like touched my heart of people that, um, we've all been through really tough, difficult times in life, and there's certain things that we kind of come into our path for a reason that lift us up. And the rookie, and honestly, some other projects I've done have been that for people. And that's like, to me, that's so meaningful because I've had that. I've had that thing where you're really down and you're super upset about something and your life just feels heavy and then something comes in and lifts it. So, yeah, that's the best feeling in the world.
I'm sure Step Up did that for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It was
it was wild in that way. Yes.
it had to have. It was like a mega movie, and you know it must have done that for like so many people, like so
Yeah.
many people.
Yeah, that movie fascinates me too because when we filmed that movie, we had no idea that it was going to be a big film. Like, I believe it was like a very small, decent budget, but not anywhere near big budget movie. And it was going to be just this small little dance movie. It was going to be hopefully good, and I had Touchstone and Disney. Disney was behind it, but it was not like a big Disney movie. Anyways, it did so well. It shocked everybody. And I did have people, I still do have people come up to me all the time, how that movie, a lot of people say, when I was a kid, that movie made me get into dance. I'm like, oh my God, I made you get into dance? Like, that's so crazy cool. For me, Dirty Dancing was like the movie of the time. And so I go, and then even now, little kids will find me, it's so funny. I always say airport because it's always like at the airport. or like at the grocery store. But little kids will find me and say, I love your movie Step Up. And then I went, you weren't even born when we made this movie. And she's like, yeah, I watched it. You know, so that movie has legs. It finds people still. It's still inspiring dancers, which is hilarious to me. And also incredible. So yeah, and 100% it changed my life in so many ways, that movie.
Do you think about redoing it or doing like, because I know there've been like a few like, you know, more, but have you thought about doing like revamping it a little bit?
Well, they did so many sequels.
I know.
And we produced a TV show of it.
No, yeah.
But you know what? That's interesting. That would be really good. Like just like a whole new remake of it, kind of really just doing the original movie and seeing if you can redo it in a sense. It's like the dance movie. We continue to recycle and recreate the same story, but it's because it works. We all love a good, feel good, romantic dance movie. Everybody wants it. It's like, it makes sense.
It was my guilty pleasure, if I'm being honest. So, yeah.
You've come this whole time and not told me this? Wait a minute.
No, of course not. No,
of course. That's so cool. What's your guilty pleasure? Oh,
yeah. I mean, I could tell you all my friends growing up, everyone watched it. I mean, like football players, wrestlers, all the people that I was like, everyone watched it, but maybe we didn't like, you know, tell anyone. But like, no, but it was really good. It was my guilty pleasure. Every time it was on, it's watching.
I mean, I will say I think it's a well done dance movie for sure. It gives what it needs to give. But that's so cute. You loved it. And that's actually really interesting to me, like a guy, because then you think it's like so many women that watch Step Up, but there's a lot of guys that say that too. They're like, I actually really liked it. And it's the combination, you know, of the hip hop with the ballet kind of, we brought in some male audience.
I used to play the piano. Like I used to be like pretty good at the piano. And then as I got older and stuff, I was like, you know, I'm playing football, wrestling, doing lacrosse, you know, I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't think a piano like fits into like what I'm doing as like a guy. So I stopped playing. And that's like one of the biggest regrets that I have is to stop playing the piano. And it was because of like, the male and female role. But, you know, that movie really like made me question being like, do I go back to doing it?
Well, yeah, because you had also like the Miles character who was super big, and then you had Chan's character. I mean, the cool thing about Step Up was, I think, and what I look at a lot, and a lot of people tell me this, is I think that it was pretty authentic. You know, I was a real dancer who grew up doing ballet and contemporary, and it was my first acting job, really. But it was, you know, I was very much in that world. Chan was a very much, you know, he had danced hip hop. He was that character, like. It was authentic. And I think it just captured a certain energy that is rare. But like you said, inspires you to be like, oh, I can be a guy and dance and play the piano. And yes, we need more men like that. Yes.
I know. And I'm so mad at myself. I kick myself. Like, I'm like, why did I think like that? I'm like, oh my God. On that note, on a positive note, I would love to give you a reading.
Oh my God. You know, I love your readings. I love it. I'm here for it.
So you know how I do things. I always just kind of like stare off. So I'm going to do that. And then if you have any questions along the way, just stop me and you can ask me and anything you want.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonathan.
So you have two people here, and I'm going to tell you who, because they're two separate people. So I want, if you want to talk to one more than the other, you can let me know is what I'm trying to say, because they're both here pretty strong. But it's not family to you. I think it's potentially your husband's mom is here with an R name. She has an R name, it seems. But then you have someone with an interesting name with a D name. It's not like a Daniel David, but it's a D name. I want to go to him just for 1 second, only because there's a whole thing that it is talking about. And I know I just said I would let you choose. I'm so sorry, but I will go back to the other person. I do promise. I just want to go to him, because there is a lot of things that are going on, and he keeps tapping like now, because he basically is signifying summertime is a crazy time for most families. I understand that, but he's talking about a home that is a summer home that he's saying has caused, and he's smiling at this. He's saying it's like a 360, like a chaos that's going on, because he's talking about you and your mom. Okay, this is crazy that this just came through, actually. Did you just meet a new family member within the year? Like
Yes.
someone that you've never met before? Did you meet someone new?
Yes, yes. I have a cousin that yeah, we just met for the first time. Yes.
Because he's very proud of you for welcoming your cousin with like the biggest open arms. Because I'm sure most people can probably like attest to this, being like it's different in life when you meet someone and it's like, are you going to get along when you're, especially when you're older? But you keep saying you let them into like your life, your home, like everything, like just like the full thing.
Yes, Jonathan, yes.
He also was tapping his head and flickering his brain at me. When someone does that to me, and I know brain capacity of like someone passing comes in so many different ways, whether it's mental illness or like the typical brain, like Alzheimer's, MS, or anything revolving around the brain. But he keeps talking to me about, listen, I think we all get depressed in life, and I think we all have anxiety, and it's how we deal with it at times. And because he keeps smiling at me, saying he's not in that mindset anymore, and because what he keeps saying to me, and I wanted to ask you this, he keeps saying a broken heart can make people do crazy things, and not like
Yes, he this is my grandfather, first of all, for everyone listening. This is Dudley, which I'm positive who you're talking to is my grandfather, which is a D name, which is bizarre, but a D name. And yes, he took his own life. And my grandmother had passed a few years before that, and it was very difficult for him. So you are, oh, Jonathan, you're right on.
because what he's also saying to me too, just so you know, is that he's whole again. Like, and yes, when we all go to the other side, we're whole, but he's saying he's whole again in the sense of his broken heart is not broken anymore. And what he keeps also showing to me too on the same thing of that is he's like thanking and apologizing to you and your family, because he's saying that you guys tried to help him, and he's saying behind closed doors. This isn't like something, obviously that people want to prance from their rooftops when what they're doing, but he keeps showing to me that you guys went above and beyond, and he's smiling, saying, sometimes when you're hard-headed, like it's hard to get through to someone, is what he keeps saying. And what he's also showing to me too, which I find interesting, he keeps cheersing me, right? Keeps cheersing me. And he keeps saying like self-medication is not medication, is what he keeps saying to me. Like you can't self-medicate and fix a problem. And he's smiling, saying to me that, he left in a intensive way, but he's happy right now, because he's saying he's just wholeheartedly happy, because he's just saying for like that heartbreak, I think it hit him a lot harder than I think he thought it would, to be honest, because he's saying that he's saying he was a tough man prior, like he was a strong, tough man prior, a good man, tough man. But he's saying like that really like ripped him apart, is what he's saying. And then also your husband's mom is coming through.
This is so, oh, Jonathan.
Who is the R name, the RE name? Because she keeps showing me the RE name. But it's a nickname. It's not a name. It's a nickname. So it's what she's called.
Rebel.
Okay. Because she's saying she's called, it's not a name, it's a nickname, is what she keeps saying.
Yes, Jonathan. Her name was Kathy, but her Reba was her original. It's her first name. That was my original, her first name. But they called her Rebel.
Yeah, she likes that name, if I'm being honest, because she's smiling, saying like that's like the nickname that she wants me to kind of like refer her by, it seems, for some reason. So like that's why I wanted to ask you like what's the nickname and stuff. She was saying that for like even like coming through with your grandfather at the same time. Like that's the first thing that she was kind of showing to me. And then also she is just playing with your new baby girl. I mean, like with all your kids, right? But she is like actively like being very like involved with you, with your husband, and with your children. What she's also saying too, because she's very proud of like the chaos that's like going on outside, inside, everywhere around, how you make it such a home for your family, like such a home, because she seems like a very great mother, like, and keeps saying that she wants you to tell your husband that she also feels the same, that she was cheated too, is what she keeps saying. And she also feels the same, that she was not able to have like such an extensive long life. Like she's also saying like, and she's showing this to me in two, I don't know if she's being in the literal sense or like the metaphorical sense, if I'm being honest, that sometimes if something burns down, you don't need objects to remember someone, is what she keeps saying. So she's saying if something is like, she knows that he always remembers her, whether it's with a physical item or not. So like,
yes, I totally get what you're saying.
well, she's also laughing too because the name of your newborn has the same initial as her nickname, it seems. So,
yes, yeah, Brienne. Yes.
yeah, because and she's laughing. She's like, like that's for her in her own mind. So like, like she's just laughing at that, being like that's for me. But she misses him like dearly, and I want to share this too because she's showing this to me. I know December is such a good time for like Christmas and the holidays, all that. But she keeps flickering December to me, showing to me like it's a significant month aside from the holiday time, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, or something.
Her birthday is December. Yes.
Oh, okay. Because she's saying aside from the positive times of that, like she has a positive. Now your grandfather's going back too, just so you know.
Oh.
Because he's saying that your mom, he's very proud of your mom and you for, and he's laughing at this. So that's why he's only saying this is like, families have people that want certain things and to do certain things, whether someone agrees or no one agrees. And he's saying sticking to your guns in a family that, wants to go in different directions, because he keeps saying it's like a group against your mom and you. It's like typically and he keeps saying that he's just very proud of how you guys are standing your ground and how much he misses and loves everyone like so much. So.
Wow. Oh my God. Well, Jonathan, like, first of all, I'm blown away, but that is very true. What's happening right now, like the family is seemingly feeling divided. It is, yes, you've nailed it, and that will mean it means so much to me, but it'll mean so much to my mom to know, just to feel that reassurance from her dad that's like you're doing the right thing and you're a good person, and this is right.
Yeah, he's very proud. But I just want to say thank you for letting me do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
What an amazing reading. Now, I get DMs, emails from so many people asking how to get a reading. Well, now we're up to the fan listener portion, and how to be entered and considered to do this is so easy. Just go to my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium and just send me a DM, and I'll be able to pick one of you guys at random. All right, guys, let's get into it. I'll explain to you very quickly how I do this, just so you're not like super weirded out by anything. But basically, I stare off only because it's just a way for me to blank out my mind when I do this, and I don't like going off of anyone's reaction. But if you have any questions along the way, like obviously stop me, tell me to shut up, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
You have a pretty fairly young male coming through. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I don't know if he's military or not, because the person keeps saluting me. Just that's a sign for me, just like when military or anyone that's in that field. But this is who's the T name? Like a very unusual T name.
Taj.
I don't mean to sound rude by calling it unusual. I just never heard of it.
No. Yeah.
So
probably pretty normal Indian name.
Okay,
but yeah.
I didn't want to be rude in any type of way, so I'm sorry. I do want to tell you it's going to be a little intense, just because this is what and I'm going to tell you exactly what he's showing to me. This is crazy. This can't be right. He keeps putting a plane crash or something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's how he died. Yeah.
My God, because so there's a couple things he keeps smiling. Like, for one, I'm assuming he was fairly young and in great shape and just things like that, because he's smiling and saying that to me, that he was in young and good shape and stuff like that. He has, his personality is still his personality, I probably will say. The second thing he keeps showing to me too is, I guess there was something that was fair. Like, obviously there's a plane crash, something had happened, but what he's saying to me is he went off kind of knowing something was not fully at its full capacity. There was not something that was there, and he's smiling because he keeps saying that he keeps saying in any other circumstance, so this is what's confusing to me, and I'm going to tell you what he's putting in my head. He's saying that, but then he keeps putting, and majority of people will know about the Kobe Bryant situation with the helicopter, with the inclement weather right? It's like there's like the inclement weather factor. He keeps saying it's like all these different factors you put together. Like something was not at its full capacity. There's inclement weather. And then this had happened. Because what he's saying to me about is even with something not being 100% full capacity, whatever it is, if it wasn't for that side of things, it seems that he's smiling, saying he could have figured it out, because he is saying to me he was a very smart person. Like, and again, I'm not saying this because he has a very good personality to him, 100% great personality to him. But it really does seem like he was very good at what he was meant to do with like flying planes and maybe, or something like that. But he is saying to me though that he's making a joke. So I'm just going to tell you the joke. He's saying those like damn clouds, damn weather. Like he keeps saying that to me. And I will tell him, like, even in the grand scheme of everything, like he had to have been such a good person if he's making light of a very dark situation, if I'm being honest. And he's smiling, saying that I'm assuming this is who you wanted to come through, because he's saying he's listened and now he's here, is what he keeps saying. And what he's saying to me too is, I'm assuming you guys spoke very shortly before this incident had happened or something, because he keeps saying he either literally saw you days before, day of, spoke to you. And he keeps also saying this too. And I, of course, Halloween is coming up. I understand that. He keeps saying that he used to dress up, I'm assuming. And he seemed like I said, he seems to be a very
that was his favorite holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, because he literally keeps putting like the pumpkins in front of me and he keeps clapping his hands, saying like that was his time. So I'm like, I know Halloween's coming up. I mean, we're in the very beginning of September. I do get that. But like Halloween is essentially coming up.
Yeah. Him and his sister love Halloween. And yeah, even like the text messages right before he passed on his way back, we had some text exchanges, just getting ready for him to come back to the States. And so that all rings very true.
So I want to ask you this, because I'm just assuming, because he's saying this and he's joking around a lot, so I can't tell if he's being serious or not with this, if I'm being honest with you.
He's very silly. Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps joking around about stuff. So like this is where my confusion sometimes lies with him when it comes to this. Was it like a pretty big story? Because he keeps saying that no matter what the situation would have been, he always would have been in the front of like a newspaper, is what he's joking to. Like he's just joking to me, saying that like it seems like I don't remember this, maybe because it didn't happen here, I don't know, but he keeps saying that it was actually a pretty big story. And what he's also saying too is, which is interesting, you brought up he was going to come back, I guess, to where he lived in the next couple of days, because he's smiling, saying so close but yet so far, is what he kept showing to me, that his time was pretty much done with like whatever he was doing. And what he's also laughing about, because he's pointing at you about this, I guess he flew planes, you must do something with engines and stuff too, because he keeps saying that you two are not so different, is what he keeps saying. I don't know if you fly planes too, but like
no, I don't. I'm in aerospace as of like the last couple of years, and so there have been a lot of like parallel paths there.
Yeah, he's just completely smiling about, because he feels like he influenced you. Like again, his personality, can't tell if he's joking or not. Oh, he did? Okay, because I couldn't tell if he was joking. So like, because he's like, I'm the reason. Like, he's joking. What he's also saying too, I guess you guys must have been extremely, extremely, extremely close. Like very, very close. He's blowing you kisses. He's kissing your face. Like he's just showing to me that, he also seemed like he was a really good time too, if I'm being honest with you.
He was very fun. Yeah. We went out a lot, partied. We shared friends. Like we've spent a lot of time together, and his family's become mine and vice versa over the years.
He keeps bragging about, if you want to have a good time, you go to him. Like you want to have a good time, you go to him. But what he is also saying, which he said before, is because he's saying this in like in a serious way now, kind of his, you always think and you always talk about him, which we do with a lot of people, obviously in our lives. But he's saying specifically with him, because he's saying that this death, obviously, from what I can tell from this, obviously it's tragic. Like, but what he's also saying to me too is, I guess you like I said just before, you must have been close, because he's saying anytime you talk, think about him, which it seems like you do often. I'm assuming, because he's saying he always tries to show himself to you, and like not in a weird way, but he's also saying to me that he's making a joke. If you were going to go to a medium and you don't think he was going to come through, he's laughing, saying you had another thing coming. He's just saying like that would be bizarre of him not to like, he keeps saying it would be bizarre for him not to be kind of front and center. That's what he keeps saying to me. So like that.
Yeah, I could, that makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah. So that's kind of what he was like.
Can't imagine him not coming through.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, obviously I would, you know, love for you to share everything, you know, about him, and just so people can hear about him, because I have to be honest, he must have an interesting story. He's a cool guy, but it is so tragic, and he must have been military or someone that worked something like that, because he is as funny and, you know, smart, because he does seem very intelligent. He's also very regimented and also very just like put together. So because he's saying to me that he could build, like, he's one of those people, he's saying that he could literally look at something and figure it out without even like thinking too hard about it. And he's making a joke, and sorry, I know I said I'm done, but he talks a lot, so I can't stop. But he is saying to me that, like, he was like, you know how people always say like there's always that person that is like good at school, good at sports, good at like people, like people always are like, how is that person good at everything? Like, he's smiling, saying like he was that person. Like, he was the person that people make movies about and stuff. And he's saying he's hoping that people share his story more, because he's saying his story should not be forgotten, because this must have happened close to 10 years ago. Because he's saying it must have been, because I mean, he's showing me 10, but I don't know if it's 10 years, less than 10 years, over 10 years, around 10 years. But it seems to have happened like relatively like a decent amount of time ago. But he does want his story shared. Like, that's a huge thing for him, because he's saying that it's like quick and gone like that. Like, so.
Yeah. I mean, it made international news.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it happened, the plane crash happened over England, and he came, you know, he was from the US. So I met him in 2007, maybe. And, you know, dated off and on over the course of like 10 years. And we just became like family. You know, even when I was in a relationship or he was in a relationship, we still were friends and kept in touch. And then he was living in San Diego, and, you know, he'd go on tour, you know, with the Marines. He was a fighter pilot in the Marines for many years. And then, his last tour to Bahrain was in 2015. And so we had a big send-off party for him with all of his friends in San Diego. And that was the last time that I saw him. And then he was gone for 7 months. And then on his way back, the jet crashed over England. I think his jet malfunctioned. And on the way down, he had the choice to either eject or veer the plane away from a home down below. And he chose the heroic path and steered the jet away from a home and a family. So that was in October of 2015.
Well, that's just a coincidence that he likes Halloween too. That's just like that's like an absolute coincidence, because he was putting like the pumpkins, like I'm saying, in front of me, and I'm like, either like there's some significance there, but he's also saying to me too that dressing up and partying and being like, because it seems like he was very regimented, like I was like saying, but it also seems like he has a side to him that is like so fun. So it's like a very interesting mix to be like regimented and then like the center party animal, you know?
He definitely, he wasn't like a big drinker really or anything, but he definitely knew how to like work hard, play hard. And I think the time that he spent with his friends and family was super valuable, and it was always quality time. And then when it was back to work, it was back to work. So he knew how to have that balance at least.
He sounds like a hero, and thank you for letting me do this.
Yeah, he is. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. Now, every week, I'm going to be picking one of you guys to come on to do a reading. And how to be considered, entered, is go to my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium and just send me a DM. And guys, please, wherever you get your podcast, please read it, subscribe, and follow. It would mean everything to me. All right, guys, I'll see you next week.